Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our review of Power Book 2 Ghost Season 2, Episode 8. Hope you all are having a great weekend and that all of your family dinners are so much nicer and peaceful than the one we saw on this episode.
That family dinner was everything. 10 out of 10 for that family dinner and the airing of the grievances. It was so good.
What a intense, crazy, bonkers, shocking episode. This is like one of those super roller coaster rides that you like wait 2 hours for at Six Flags that like goes all the way up like 1,000 feet in the air and then just like plunges you right into the ground later.
Or at Coney Island with the
Oh,
cyclone. Oh,
see, there we go. We're bringing it all together. Well, I
that's
mean,
right.
obviously, there are a million things to talk through. We want to be here with you guys going through all of it. So share your thoughts in the comments along the way and hit that subscribe button because we are definitely in the home stretch of this season now.
Okay, this episode was great. The last episode I felt like was kind of the normal kind of power build up episode, getting to some of the like really good stuff. This episode was great. There was so much that I liked about it. I really liked the heist. We're going to get into all that,
Yeah.
but I want to start with that dinner because oh my God, it was just like a bomb that just kept exploding.
Yeah.
It was so crazy. And I'm really excited about this family, and I'm most invested in this family. So to watch what was going on here with them and the airing of the grievances, it was really intense.
It was such a gloriously chaotic mess because it really just felt like a lot of the Tejada kids, it was like, this is our time to shine, and they kept trying to one up each other. And I mean, Kane, first and foremost, being like, you guys wouldn't have the Mecha Connect if it wasn't for me, which, by the way, I totally, betrayed a lot of people and lied to you in the process.
There was so much going on. We had that,
Yeah,
everything that happened with Kane and what he did to be sort of the connect in the first place.
yeah,
We had Diana's hooking up with Tariq.
yeah,
We had that Drew did not do what he was supposed to do with Everett.
yeah.
Then we had everything come out with Zeke where he's like, I'm like 24 years old or 23 years old. What is happening? Then we had on top of all of that, of course, that it has come out
Yeah.
that Monet is his mom.
Okay, there needs to be a little bit of time just devoted to Zeke because Zeke, my guy, you got a couple.
Zeke is your guy.
Okay, I don't know if I should say that. Given what you might not want to be my guy, Zeke, after what I'm about to say for you, because
That's all right. Kane's my guy, and he's made some
oh no,
mistakes.
oh no, no. See, Zeke, you were just told like some of the biggest secrets of your life, including that you are multiple years older than you previously thought. And
I can't imagine what he would be going through,
yeah,
especially when he's like, that completely like torpedoes my whole career.
yeah, that's the part of it. I don't know. He gets all this information about his mom, about his age, and his first reaction is, but what about the NCAA regulations? It's like, Zeke, is this your entire character, the NCAA regulations? Listen, I'm not a sports agent. I'm not a sports expert. Yes, this will probably derail your draft stock, but you're acting as though it is going to be impossible for you to ever have a professional career anywhere. There are players who go internationally, they come back, they can find a way. This is not the end of the world, and yet this is the only thing Zeke seems to be thinking about.
I understand where he's coming from because he has put so much
Yeah,
into
yes.
it. And to be fair, the other part of it that Monet's actually his mom is so big that I just don't know how he would really be able to process something like that. Like that's going to take a really long time. And that's why when we get to this part with Monet and Carrie, where, of course Zeke leaves, Monet's looking for him. It's like, oh, he's probably gone to Carrie's house. Where she kind of makes this comment where she's like, well, if you're here, he won't come to me. It's like, Monet, no. Even if Carrie is not there, he's not coming to you. Not right now, maybe not ever. I mean, there's two massive betrayals here.
It's a really hard thing that Zeke would have to get past because they sort of treat him in this family like he can't understand anything. He shouldn't understand everything. So they just like put a bunch of earmuffs around him and just wander him around to various gyms so that he can work on his basketball game. And
to be fair, he doesn't seem to even really know how old he is by like 4 years. That's quite a lot of time. How did this never come up?
It is so unbelievably bizarre to me. Like how, in order for him to not really understand the passage of time, because I feel like you tend to start remembering things when you're like 3 or 4 or somewhere around. There must have been like some next level mind games just played with this guy where they like literally brainwashed him into like thinking certain things that were obviously not true otherwise, because I don't believe that Zeke himself would just make up a lot of this sort of stuff when it comes to his timeline in his head. Like he had to really just been screwed around with.
No, it's like maybe a year they might be able to kind of get away with, but 4 years? I mean, that would mean that when he's like 14, he's really like 18, or when he's 12, like it's just, I don't know.
Here's what this all reminds me about though. When I was a kid, I used to play soccer, and I did not play it well. I'm making that very, very clear, but I used to play soccer, and our soccer team in one season was really good, but we had a guy on our soccer team who I'm pretty sure was at least like 2 or 3 years older than you were supposed to be for this age group. So we had a bunch of these like kids, and then we have like this one guy who's in here who is just like the Ronaldo of our soccer team. He's just like destroying everybody else who's like a full foot. Like this must have been Zeke throughout at least like part of his like high school playing career, where he's just like dunking on all these kids so much younger than him.
Okay, so let's get to the big death of this episode, Carrie. So we saw her go through a journey. Okay, so we know that by the end of this episode, we had Monet in the same room with her being like, if you're around, Zeke's not going to come to me, which again, I don't think is the case. These are two different women with two different relationships. One of them is your mother who lied to you, who, screwed over your whole life. And the other is your lover. And it's not, I think if the lover is plucked out, again, he's not going to go back to the mother who betrayed him. So we do have sort of everything that happened with Carrie, and then by the end of this episode, she's really like, man, like I'm gonna get disbarred, I'm gonna lose my job. The dean is like, hey, we need to talk in the morning. She is really feeling like everything is falling apart for her, but we didn't see her feeling like, or any sort of, I don't know, hints that she was looking at sort of ending things. So here's the big mystery. Was it Monet that put this together to make it look like Carrie took her own life?
Yes, that's where I'm landing with it, mostly just because with that line of dialogue they put in there from Monet that you just talked about, I cannot see in my head Monet leaving that room unless she knows that Carrie is dead. However that comes about, to me, that's sort of the mystery of it.
Yeah, it is a mystery. I mean, I feel like the only way that she was able to execute this is to have Carrie actually do it. Like possibly at gunpoint, whatever it was, that Monet forced her to get up there and do what she did. Because otherwise, I just don't believe that Monet is capable of lifting a body like that. It is heavy. Listen, I am a former funeral director. I have moved hundreds of bodies. I know that might be a lot of information for people, but that's the truth of it. And moving, a body from like a morgue table to a gurney, or a gurney to a morgue table, you can do that. You can just pull, but to lift a body, to, put it in a casket to, I guess, do what Monet did. You're using a machine. You're not lifting anybody. It's really difficult, if not impossible, especially, I'm only 5 feet tall. I'm a small person. Monet, small person.
It's hard.
I just don't see it. I think that she forced her into it.
Yeah, like I'm not a former funeral director, so I didn't think about that part of it when I was watching, but the part of it that I definitely did think about is clearly there are a lot of people who want Carrie dead. I think that has been very clearly established in this
You as
episode.
well. No, I'm kidding. A
Let's be
lot of the
clear.
audience has been like, "Can she just go now?"
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I have been in that camp. I will say that much. No, but it's also a situation where Monet is smart enough to realize that if one thing is even just slightly awry in that scene, there's going to be enough other people to have a motive. Like, she can't shoot Carrie. Like, she can't do something to Carrie. She can't, drug her. She can't put anything in her system that's going to come back on her. And so to me, yeah, it does feel a lot like either Monet has like a Dexter Morgan, and by this I mean like early seasons of Dexter, not Dexter New Blood, where he completely sucks at covering up his own crimes, but like either that precise when it comes to cleaning up her crime scene, or she convinced Carrie to go ahead and do this herself. That way, there's nothing that will come back on her.
okay, so we got to talk about Carrie and her deciding to take the stand and everything that went on with that. So Lauren was supposed to take the stand, which makes sense. They have this recording. She's the person who can verify the recording. The recording is very, very damaging towards Tariq. All of that makes perfect sense. Then you've got Tariq, who has guilted Carrie into protecting her student and taking the stand herself. I was like, okay, I believe it up to this point. Once she goes to, the prosecution is like, the lawyer's like, listen, I also have heard this. I can also testify. I can see the lawyer being like, okay, I will also put you on the stand, not instead of Lauren going on the stand. I just don't see her flushing this evidence basically down the toilet to put Carrie on the stand. It didn't make sense to me.
Okay, I love so much of this episode, but this is the part of this episode that I had like a million different problems with. Because number one, everything you just said. And then on top of all of that, Carrie has to realize the moment she goes up there, what is going to happen to her. And it is, I understand Tariq gave her, like you said, that whole manipulation job of you always stand up for your students, you stand behind your students, all of that sort of thing. But it is still a pretty big leap that in the span of just, 5 or 10 minutes in this episode, Carrie is going to go from where she previously stood to then being like, okay, I'm going to go up here knowing that it is going to completely torpedo my career because I know Davis. I know what Davis is going to do to me. And then beyond all that, I'm going to be the only sort of sole witness who can testify to any of this at all. It just, it doesn't make sense from a prosecutorial, I don't even think I said that right, but it just doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make any sense. And then, a lot of this sort of testimony is based on who she slept with. Who cares? Who cares who she slept with outside of Zeke? None of the rest of it is like, is this where we are now? Where it's like 2022 and it's like, oh, she's like in her 30s and let's name 4 people that she has slept with and we're all like clutching our pearls like it's a big deal. It's just kind of like, okay, who cares if she slept with Davis? Who cares if she slept with this detective? She slept with him years before he was investigating into this. And he was still investigating into her regardless of what their relationship was. The only one that mattered was Zeke.
Yeah, this is just a reminder of like, Davis, like, you're a compelling character, don't get me wrong, but you're such a jerk. Like, this guy.
He's so fantastic to watch.
Yeah,
he is really, really good.
Like, he is, like, I Method Man was great in the entire, like, all the courtroom stuff was just so compelling, and so it was well done from that standpoint. It's like, I still have a hard time buying fully into what Carrie did, and that was somehow still enough, but
and just getting into her, what she does in the bedroom somehow destroys her character, that she's all of a sudden just not a reliable witness because of who she sleeps with. Get out of here.
Yeah, that stuff just didn't work at all. And the irony in all of this is we spend so much time in court talking about, people Carrie have slept with, and yet the real instigator in so much of this, my guy Sax, who just in the bedroom has so many problems when it comes to either keeping things to himself or wording things the right way, because he just sets Jenny off immediately with this recording.
Yeah, and that is the thing that feels like it still needs to come back into play. the recording.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't Jenny end up just being like, okay, yeah, I took an L on this, no problem. I still have Lauren and the recording. Like, she's gonna, what, all of a sudden not use it?
Yeah, like all of that sort of stuff. I don't fully understand. Maybe it will become clearer in the later parts of this season. I sure hope that it does, because right now, all of it does just still feel messy, and I don't know still how Tariq is going to get out of this, because even if, oh, Carrie took her own life, even if there's all the evidence in the world that that is the case, a lot of people just aren't going to believe it.
No, it's a little convenient. Like, it just, no. Okay, let's talk about the heist. So we got Tariq, we got Brayden, we got Effie, and it seems that Brayden has forgiven Tariq for what he did with the photo in the last episode. There was no mention it.
Yeah.
I was really worried that that was going to torpedo the three of them working together, but seems like it was a non-issue. So they've decided that they're, we know that Tariq needs more money. They're working with Monet. They're working with Kane. They've brought Drew into this. This thing was executed so well. I felt like I was watching like an episode of Animal Kingdom, who does heists better than any show. But this was like a 10 out of 10. This was right up there with that.
I loved everything about the heist. Like I like you. I love a good heist. I love how everybody clearly had a lot of their individual roles, where you've got like Brayden playing like the, esports gamer who's just going in there and like waving his privilege around and being like, give me my electricity.
I need my PS5 to work.
Yeah, all of that was really, really great. I think having Kane sort of do his own like subterfuge, and then you've got Drew and Lil Guap, where Drew, is he gonna do it? Is he gonna be able to take out Guap? He doesn't do it at first. He finds another way, and now we're like, R.I.P. Lil Guap.
That was a really intense scene, and I mean, we've seen Drew really progressing and changing, and when we first met him, he was very much, I want something a little bit different. I don't really want to be part of this. I want to do something else. And in this episode, we saw him pull a gun on him, but then actually kill him with his bare hands. It was really dark.
Really, really dark. And also, I think just even Drew willingly going along with this and him saying, I'll do this, but I gotta be the one to take out Guap. It just like him taking that sort of resolve, even like right from the get-go, was so good. And I think one of the questions I'm still kind of wrestling with after all of this is, like, excellent as it was to see this plan be executed, is Mecha on the other side of it being like, okay, I gotta kill the rat, and then he just like takes out. I liked Chef. I was a big fan of Chef, and it's just like, Chef's apparently been working with you for a while, Mecha. You're gonna off him as opposed to Kane, who's just sort of a newcomer to you.
No, I get why he did. I think he is so wrapped up in his feelings for Monet. I mean, we saw the ring, so I mean, he is not stopping. He is not giving up. He knows that Kane is her son. He cannot kill Kane no matter what is going on. If he wants Monet, that is a line he cannot cross. And he just needs to continue to show Kane that, they're together. Get closer and closer and closer, hoping it's going to bring in Monet. It's just, I think Mecha knows it wasn't Chef. I mean, really, it's just, he's stuck. His heart is driving his business.
It's fun to see a guy this tough and like this, strategic.
I love it.
Yeah, he's unraveling in a way that's just so different than how we tend to see other people unravel, and I think that's going to set up a really fun final couple episodes of this season.
Love makes you do crazy things, even the toughest people, and that is what makes Mecha so fascinating. And I'm really hoping that he is going to be around for next season as well, and that he is, not going to just get killed off near the end.
Like, it feels like we're on the cusp of like this really awesome like family war at this point. If Monet can't really get back with her other family, is she gonna like go and work with Mecha, and then these sides are gonna clash? Like, wouldn't that be something?
It really would, especially Monet and Kane working together really as closely as they are. And we've been seeing that already. I mean, we've seen such a pushback between them. They both have done some things, said some things, weren't working together for a while. It's just, even when Kane was sort of explaining what he went through to get back into the family. Yeah, he conned the family, but he's willing to do what it takes to execute something to be back with the family. He wasn't trying to screw over the family. He's trying to be part of the family.
Yeah.
There was a moment that even though Lorenzo was kind of like, you did what? That he was kind of for a moment like, okay, I see this. I see it. I see what you've done. It wasn't great, and I'm not really that proud of you for it, but secretly like, okay, I noticed.
Yeah, I think that moment was really there, and I think the thing is, I think on some level, Lorenzo probably was thinking, if it was me, I probably would have done something not all that different, and so I think he probably understands Kane. So there's a couple of just like little things in this episode that brought me varying degrees of delight. Number one, I am a big Effie fan. I am all in on Effie.
So great. She was so good in this episode.
Yeah, Effie, we got so much good stuff with Effie. I also just like Effie with Tariq more than I like, Tariq with any other character. It just feels like that relationship to me just absolutely makes the most sense.
Well, also there's so many different layers to it now. Yeah, they're working together, sure. Romantically, tons of chemistry.
Yeah.
But just sort of the honesty and friendship that's there where she's they sort of talked about at the end where she was just like, listen, Laura doesn't really make any sense. You can't really bring her into all aspects of your life. So how are you really going to just become really close with somebody and take it to that next level if there's this whole side of your life that you just can't let them in on? And Effie is correct. And I'm not saying, listen, we all know that Effie's betrayed Tariq in the past.
It's true.
But that doesn't mean that she hasn't grown past it. And I may end up with egg all over my face and she may betray him again. But right now, I'm just feeling like their relationship together, friendship, romantic business, it's changed right now.
Effie, I believe in you. This is gonna screw us over now. But the other thing here is, can we mention the most tragic class in the history of Stansfield at this point? Because it's like, okay, Jabari dead. Carrie now dead. Is Rashad Tate about to become these people's full-time professor? Because if that happens...
the minute she came out and she wrote the word truth on the board, I was like, oh, I see what you're doing. I'm connecting all the dots. They're all there. That was awesome. I loved it. Let's talk about Ghost here while we're 24 minutes into this video. I cannot believe that he put in this order before he died that if the whole family was wiped out, which I'm going to remind you, Ghost, like you're watching.
Yeah.
Your family is not wiped out. Tariq is still there and his grandma's still there. There are still family members. That he put it into effect that then his daughter was going to have her name changed. She was going to be, adopted out, that the record's going to be sealed. And how does an adoption happen in a week? Get out of here.
All of this stuff, I'm not knowledgeable probably enough in a lot of how this stuff works. But the only thing that I kept thinking in my mind is just like, I've never seen a dead person work so hard to screw someone over than Ghost is working to screw over Tariq. It is like his ghost, like your pun intended here, is wandering around behind Tariq and just like being like,
yes, he is. He is in the afterlife having it up.
Yeah, like I love so much about this episode. Are there other problems? Sure, but you know what? We're all in. I think we're really, really psyched to see where these final episodes go. It's really hard not to.
100%.
All right, well, hit that subscribe button, guys, so you don't miss any of our other discussions coming up on this or Power Book 4 Force, which is really not that far away at this point.
Just a couple weeks.
All right, well, we will see you guys here next time.